We can get nothing out of Police National Headquarters, out of the Police Commissioner, despite the fact that the Prime Minister told me personally I should go and ask the Police Commissioner what's going on. Of course, the Prime Minister, too scared to come on the platform. But I'll tell you who isn't. Mark Mitchell. He's the national spokesperson for the police. He's an MP, and he joins us now. Mark, good morning. Welcome to the platform.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks, Sean.
What do you think of how the police have responded and behaved since what went down in Albert Park on Saturday went down?
Well, I've just been really clear is that if we're going to protect the freedom of speech in New Zealand, which we should do, without a doubt, and there's a well-publicised public event happening like that, where the police have had plenty of warning and should be able to plan for it, then inherently it's really important that whoever the speaker is, and I don't care who the speaker is or what the issue they're talking about, they shouldn't face an assault during that event. So I've been really clear about that, and throwing liquid over someone is a clear assault. We should put a line in the sand.
A whole lot of lefty people tell me on Twitter, Mark, it's just a bit of fun. It's like playing with water pistols with your siblings when you're a kid. Yeah,
well, I'm sure that they would feel pretty offended if if they were trying to exercise their freedom of speech and someone walked up and felt that they had the right to throw liquid over them. They don't. They shouldn't be subjected to that, and I'm sure they wouldn't take it so lightly if it was happening to them.
Why has it taken, now more than 4 days? The person who did that identified themselves on social media, literally crowed about it on social media, and is given enough leeway to jump on a plane to Australia and crow about that as well.
Well, I mean, the follow-up now, the follow-up investigation and action by the police is a matter for them, and they're going to have to take into account the circumstances, the evidence that I've got, but it's pretty clear. I mean, everyone's seen exactly what's happened, and then the next steps in terms of that investigation and action taken. It's obviously become more complicated and more difficult for them now because the alleged offender is now in Australia.
Well, the self-identified offender, actually, mind you, they're quite into self-identification. What's the situation here, Mark, just in the hypothetical, when someone under investigation for a crime, and assault is a violent crime, right?
Yes.
Under the Crimes Act.
Absolutely. When
they abscond to another jurisdiction, can we get them back, even if they haven't been formally charged for the investigation? Can police, extradite someone under these circumstances?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what our extradition rules are with Australia, but just bear in mind that this person hasn't been charged with anything yet. They are the alleged offender. The police do want to speak to them, but they haven't actually been charged. They haven't appeared in court. So there was nothing stopping them travelling to Australia. It's now going to be up to the police to work out how they sort of deal with that next steps.
Yeah. Back to the day, Mark, there were police, and there's plenty of video evidence of this, literally standing by just yards away, who did not assist Kellie-Jay Keen Mitchell and her supporters as they were literally surrounded by a baying mob. They had to get out of that bound rotunda and to the road themselves. And there's numerous live video footage of the police literally standing by and doing nothing. Is that acceptable to you as a New Zealander?
So the short answer is no. If the police are going to have a presence there and they're there to maintain public order and keep people safe, then that's what needs to happen. And when you had the speaker at that event assaulted, then obviously there's been a failure. But on saying that, these events are extremely difficult for police to manage. They're very staff intensive. And so I completely recognise that there's some challenges there. However, the default setting will always be, for me, if the police are going to have a presence, they're the only ones that have got the powers and the ability to be able to keep these protests safe for the people actually holding them, and that they should have done that.
Yeah. So, Mark, you saying they failed in their duty?
Well, I'm not going to go as far as to say that they failed.
Well, why not, Mark? Because you are the opposition spokesperson on police. And if you're not going to say it, who else is?
Well, I've been really clear that they've failed to keep someone safe at a rally where they should have done that. So, but I don't know what the frontline police officers were tasked with. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's a fair bit of hand-wringing that goes on at Police National Headquarters now. That's not indicative of the frontline. Frontline police officers, they join the job because they want to protect the communities that they serve, and they have to take direction and orders from the people above them. So I just don't want to be critical of the police officers on the ground on the day.
Of the front line. Okay, I get that distinction. The question then is, do we need to know? Because, look, from an outsider looking in, I've been a journalist a long time. I think how a lot of things work in this country. It's almost as if Posie Parker was set up by the government. She was turned over at immigration, 2.5 hours in a room, her luggage pulled to pieces. It seemed to me like the government was saying, oh, we're all for free speech, but actually we wish she wouldn't come and we're going to make it damn uncomfortable for her. Do you think, is it possible in your mind that the government via the police commissioner essentially set Posie Parker up and told the poor old frontline police stuck in the middle not to do anything, to hang her out to dry?
No, I don't. I just think that, I don't think that, but I just think that that what's happened in PHQ in the last sort of 3 or 4 years under a soft on crime Labor government is that they have become risk averse hand wringers that and that flows down.
So you are saying essentially government attitude hung her out to dry?
No, not hung her out to dry. I think that this has been an attitude and an approach right across the whole country in relation to crime in general, and I think that's why we're facing a 33% increase in violent crime, why there's been a 500% increase in ram rates, why there's a huge increase in failing to stop for police. I mean, the reality of it is, Sean, is that our frontline police officers are now trying to work in an environment that's far more dangerous, where there's been a loss of respect for them, and so and a lot of that, in my view, has been driven by hand-wringers sitting in PHQ. They've got it completely wrong.
Well, they won't tell us. Look, the 72-year-old woman, a 72-year-old woman on Saturday was punched repeatedly, caught on camera. Numerous accounts of women being beaten by men on Saturday. No arrests yet.
And I can tell you right now that the police officers on the ground there would have been wanting to immediately step in and take action. But they, like I said to you, they are under orders. They've been
from
told what
who,
they can
Mark?
and can't do.
Who's issuing those orders, and how do we find out who issued those crap orders?
Well, basically the strategic approach will be driven out of PNHQ down to a district and area level. So it'll be that chain of command that will be telling the front line in terms of what they can do.
Yeah, unfortunately, that chain of command will not talk to any journalist who's going to ask them a hard question, Mark.
Well, I mean, in my view, they should be fronting up, and the Commissioner should be fronting up and explaining exactly what approach they are taking to these events, because, like I said, they're the only ones that have the power and the training to be able to keep these events safe and ensure that people that are exercising their freedom of speech aren't assaulted.
Are you going to ask some questions about this in Parliament?
Yes, I probably will. But
probably or will?
Well, we've been tied up, obviously, with other matters sort of overtaking us this week with... come on.
Luxon can deal with that. You don't have to get involved in that.
There'll definitely be questions in the House to the Police Minister, but if it's not this week, it'll be next week.
All right. Hey, Mark, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and I'm sorry about mucking you around on the timing with Posie Parker. Good on you. Cheers. Mark Mitchell, National's police spokesperson.